Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me. My name is Jordan. I am with Yoniswell Surf Collective. And today I am talking about Jupiter's ingress into the sign of Cancer. This happened on June 10th. And then I'm going to break this down as it correlates to the revealing of truths around the family system, the family structure of the dysfunctional family that we are all confronting while Jupiter is in Cancer for 1 year. This is my interpretation from an evolutionary astrology perspective, in that Jupiter entering Cancer, along with the other transits that are taking place, is going to really reveal and show us the truth of how we have been conditioned within our own family system, how that relates to the dysfunctional family, and the moment of truth where we are declaring that we are letting go of the old patterns within the family system and declaring that we are creating our own from a healed version of ourselves that is really supporting and empowering the healthy and functional family. So, I am the founder of Yoniswell Surf Collective, which is a space for healing, empowerment, and transformation. We do this through the act of surfing because it is a somatic movement that really allows us to connect to our intuition and to connect to our body's consciousness as a way to release and break free from the stagnant energy that gets stuck within us. And we also utilize astrology as a language for personal growth, health, and wellness. And in this process, we are awakening the divine feminine, which means we are remembering, relearning our own nature, in that we have this beautiful ability to trust, to receive, and then to create a balanced life from that healed point of view. We all have masculine and feminine energy, but when the feminine is wounded and when the feminine doesn't feel safe, she's not able to create alignment within and go out into the world, take action, and create the life that she desires, because they work together, feminine and masculine. So that is a bit about what we do here at Yoniswell Surf Collective. I do weekly energy reports where I talk about the astrology and how it really relates and correlates to our connection to being on this earth, to nature, so that we can recover and remember our nature through our intuitive sense, through our intuition. So, one housekeeping thing to get out of the way. Right now, I'm offering a Gemini birthday session these last few days of Gemini season. It is $75 for a 90-minute birth chart reading, where we also go over your solar return chart so you can really get a heads up of what this year is bringing to your attention. This is a really great way to ground in to your own intentions and what you want to create for the year to come. So feel free to email me. I am including that information in the box below. Also, if you like this video, if it's helpful for you, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. So without further ado, we're going to take a look at the chart where Jupiter is entering the sign of Cancer. Okay. So I just want to show this as a visual so that you can see. On June 10th, the sign of Jupiter entered Cancer. And you can see that Jupiter is conjunct Mercury. So this right here, Mercury is in a new phase conjunction with Jupiter in Cancer. So this is a day when we really dropped into our feelings and dropped into our heart. Cancer is the energy of the heart, and retreating, going within so that you can emotionally process what's going on and how you feel. Mercury is the messenger. It's also the energy of communication. It's also the archetype of the mind, the human mind. And so these two planets are creating a brand new evolutionary intention. They're rewriting, or they're writing a new story. They're writing a new narrative that is going to last for a lifetime and beyond. And this can correlate to your own ancestral lineage because it has to do with Cancer, which is the home, and it's also our ancestors. So there could be some very deep emotional moments of clarity where you are realizing what the new belief system is for you within your family, related to your family. You could also be having these very clear and rather abrupt moments of truth in realizing the conditioning that you were brought up in and how it's not at all who you naturally are, which then creates a form of disillusionment, which is a part of the human experience. And so I will talk more about that as we look deeper into this chart. And so then I want you to notice that as Jupiter's entering Cancer, this Jupiter and this Mercury are squaring Saturn and Neptune, which are in the very early degrees of Aries. And Saturn represents our physical reality. It also represents our bones. It's our body. It's the container in which we have the capacity to understand the world. It relates to conditioning. How were you conditioned as a child within your family system? And how did that shape you as a person from a child to an adolescent and into your adulthood? And honestly, I can't remember if I mentioned this in the beginning, but I am an MFT trainee. So I'm just starting to acquire my clinical hours working with clients, and I'm becoming a licensed marriage and family therapist. And so my intention is to bring forth the ways in which to integrate astrology with the human conditioning, the journey of the human condition from an emotional and psychological point of view as a way to therapeutically help you improve your life. Astrology is the bigger picture, more spiritual way to understand. And the therapeutic point of view is a practical way to understand so that you can really ground into your own reality and begin to make choices that are in alignment with your natural truth. So this Mercury and this Jupiter are also squaring this Neptune and Aries. And I keep saying this every week, but these two planets have never been in the sign of Aries together in a conjunction in this lifetime. And Aries is the energy, the archetype of taking action, it's movement, it's, there's no forethought, it operates on instinct. And Saturn is a very slow builder of a reality. It takes 30 years to go around the sun. Neptune, it's 165 years to go around the sun. And Neptune's is about, it's about our spirit. It's about our connection to spirit. It is our intuition. It is our connection to source. It's our ideals. It's, what's the new dream? What is the new dream? Saturn, Neptune conjunct in Aries, the very beginning of the zodiac wheel. What is the new dream that you are building, that you are now starting to build, that's going to um, evolve over a 30-year cycle and beyond? So, this is the ingress for Jupiter entering Cancer. And then I'm going to skip ahead a few days to when Jupiter is exactly more or less square to Saturn right here. And then the very next day, yeah, there we go. June 15th, they're exactly square. And then days after, Jupiter is square to Neptune. So now I'm going to take you into what this means from a from a family system point of view and from a societal point of view. And please note that, you know, hold on one second. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because otherwise it disappears. Sorry, I'm fixing my screen sharing. Okay, as I am moving through this presentation, please consider the state of the world. And I'm so sorry. I'm going to stop sharing and reshare. Okay. Here we go. When we stop to witness the state of the world and the world events that are taking place right now, this is the astrology. 2025 is equivalent to 2020 from a societal view of change. And 2025 is actually, in many ways, bigger change, more impactful change, because it's moving us forward. That began in 2020, from a time that began, from a very pivotal time that began in 2020. And as you can see on the world stage, we are witnessing the separation between those who are connected to their heart, connected to love, connected to natural law, giving, sharing, and inclusion, that we are all equal. And then the other part that is separating, the other population that is separating from that, are those who are rooted in fear, who are consumed by fear, and who are living from a separation consciousness, in that they are separate, better than the other. And I don't need to explain anything more. We all know how to identify this. And what we are witnessing is what is no longer working from a structural point of view when it comes to governments, when it comes to what a leadership role is, and what is the role of the people, what is a democracy, right? So that's what we're going to talk about. Jupiter's ingress into Cancer, family systems and the dysfunctional family. So what we are witnessing on the world stage is a massive shift within society that has to do with Jupiter and Saturn. But what I'm encouraging and inviting everybody here who's listening to this presentation to really take a moment and go within and look at your own family system that you grew up in. because that's where it starts. That's where the patterns begin. That's where the belief systems begin. And that's what we're witnessing. Jupiter in Cancer for the next year is going to bring forward the truth about our own family system conditioning and how it's shaped us as a person. And it starts within the home. And then this can translate into who am I being in the world? And what is the contribution that I want to make in this world? And what is it that needs to change within my own belief system, within my own emotional dynamics and patterns? And how does that fit within my current family system? How can I heal and find peace within the family system I grew up in? And then how am I translating that out into my way of being in society? So then we have, as I mentioned, the Jupiter and Saturn square. It's a um, a square that correlates to like having a crisis in action. So it's a first quarter square, and it relates to being confronted with one's reality and having to experience some sort of crisis in how do I move forward? What is it I need to do in order to break free from this and to move forward? So it's important to remember to learn today. Jupiter and Saturn are known as the social planets. And so Saturn represents the structure of society, the governmental structures or the family system structure. It represents like what is the physical reality? What is the container that this structure has been built upon, right? So that can be within somebody's life, can be within a family, that can be within from a societal's point of view, society point of view. Jupiter represents the belief system of the people, right? Or the belief system that is maintaining that structure. Jupiter also correlates to our intuition. You know, it's our right brain, it's our intuition, but it essentially is like, what are we giving meaning to? That which we give meaning to shapes our value system. So when there's a Jupiter in Cancer, squaring Saturn in Aries, there is a confrontation taking place between these two planets in these two signs that's asking, does this old structure resonate with my own belief system and who I am becoming now, who I am stepping into now? And as we're witnessing in society and perhaps in your own life, in your own family system, you are experiencing these moments of truth saying, I grew up in this form of conditioning, Saturn. I grew up in this family system of conditioning that's no longer in resonance with my truth, and actually it never was. That structure was based on someone else's belief system, was based on someone else's conditioning that has been repeated and passed down through family lines. And this is the moment that I say no, that I declare my own path. And so these two planets were conjunct at 0 degrees of Aquarius in December of 2020. That began their brand new symbiotic cycle. They do this dance where they have like a 36-year cycle. And when they meet up, they are the instruments for helping society move forward, to evolve and move forward. So think back to December, I believe it was December 21st of 2020. It was the Capricorn winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. And at 0 degrees Aquarius, they met up. And that was essentially the turning point to creating a new familial and societal structure that is now going to be rooted in our new belief system, our new value system, and no longer in resonance with the old way. Aquarius correlates to the future version of yourself. And so these two planets, if you study them in history and their transits, they're always helping to break down, to rebuild, and to reshape our society as a whole and the belief systems that we are now giving meaning to as we evolve. So, this is us witnessing the old structure collapsing and the new shape, the new structure takes form forward. So, like I said, Saturn represents the structure. Saturn is in Aries, beginning a brand new 30-year cycle, but in conjunction to Neptune. So this is creating a whole new structure of ideals for humanity. And Jupiter is asking us, Jupiter in Cancer is asking us, does this resonate with your truth and within what's truly in your heart? And so even though it feels like a very strong tension, this square between Jupiter and Saturn, it actually is helping you propel forward, so that you can just declare, like, yeah, I'm making these changes and I'm finding peace with the old and I'm moving forward into the new. So, and you'll be able to witness this in your own life and how this correlates and resonates. So take it as you will. You'll know, as this year moves forward. And even, this weekend we witnessed all over the US the people protesting and standing up for their rights, for their equal rights, and for democracy. And so that is a part of the old structure, but what they're standing shoulder to shoulder for is equality. It's about equality. It's about democracy. It's about we are actually all connected and we are all in this together. And we're not going to put up with authoritarianism, dictatorship, a structure that, where one person pretends to be better than all. It's a bunch of bullshit, really. So during this square, Jupiter squaring Saturn, as it will be going for a little while because they're both slow moving planets, even though Jupiter is faster. And then Saturn is going to retrograde back into Aries or back into Pisces and won't fully move into Aries until February of 2026 with Neptune. That's when the true new beginnings start. So we are witnessing the transition of the old into the new. We are witnessing our own realization about our family system conditioning so that we can declare, I can't say it enough, declare a new structure moving forward that is in resonance with who we naturally are and with what's in our hearts. So this is going to show like societal and family systems being confronted, which sheds light on the dysfunctional family. This is when conditioning meets natural law. Conditioning is Saturn, Jupiter's natural law. Gemini, the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius correlate to natural law. There are other signs that also correlate to natural law, like Libra, which is about equality, giving, sharing, and inclusion. But Gemini and Sagittarius represent this idea that we, as above, so below, right? They are mutable signs, and in essence, they represent the natural laws and principles of the universe, which is also Pisces. But again, Gemini is the mind, and then Sagittarius is, it's your intuition. So there are multiple ways to look at it, but by nature, the astrology signs Gemini and Sagittarius actually correlate to natural law. Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, used to be the ruler of Pisces. So they're really all connected. But in this moment, Saturn represents your conditioning, which is how you learned about the world when you were a child. You learned about your immediate reality through your family system. And it formed your conditioning. So these are learned things. These are things we learned. These are not necessarily naturally who we are. It's the structure of how we learned we were supposed to be in order to fit in, to be seen, and to operate, maybe even to survive within the family system and within society. And this conditioning, it develops as a child. And then as we evolve into adulthood, unless we are aware and unless we do the healing, the inner work, and maybe even go to therapy, we're not even aware of these wounds that we're operating from, that's from our conditioning, that was shaped through the family system. And therefore, that shapes the dysfunctional family that we are all taking, like we're all participating in. And then when people go out and start their family, these patterns are repeating. And it's interesting because that's how energy, that's how people find each other. They're actually like a frequency match of these different forms of patterns. And so if you're operating from conditioning, not from your nature, and perhaps from wounds, then we're just going to keep perpetuating the dysfunctional family that is not rooted in natural law, which is giving, sharing, inclusion, equality, and respect. That we all have a purpose and we all matter, right? So again, not everybody comes from a dysfunctional family, but my interpretation of this is what we're witnessing out in the world is a result of what began within the family system. And ultimately, on a soul level, we all choose these roles in order to evolve. But what I'm offering today is, yeah, we choose it on a soul level, but this is the turning point when we are waking up to what we are, who we naturally are, so that we can help each other move forward from a place of love, from a place that is operating from the heart and from our intuition. Because we are entering into a space that is going to be overloaded by technology to where if you do not have a connection to your intuition, you're not going to know what is true and what is not. So, this is a really important time to confront these parts of your life and to decide what am I influenced by and what is my contribution at this point. And it always starts with our relationship to ourselves. So, functional family versus dysfunctional family. It begins in childhood. And like I said, this is all a soul level choosing. in order for us to experience the lessons that we need with the people that we are meant to experience them with, and so that we can evolve, so that we can personally grow and evolve. This is evolution. So, within the dysfunctional family, there are roles, okay? So, it starts with parents, and usually one parent has some sort of disorder, which is, it could be abuse, substance abuse. It could be alcoholism. It could be like a mental disorder, a mood disorder. It could be even like a physical disorder. It could be something that really infringes upon like the the circulation of the family. Because then usually one of the other parents is an enabler. This is also where codependency comes in, right? So this all actually correlates to Libra and oftentimes Scorpio. So codependency is Libra energy. It's the sacrificing of oneself. That's also Virgo in many ways, but this really correlates to codependency, which is Libra, and then enmeshment, like the enmeshment of a family where nobody has boundaries and they don't even know what energy is theirs versus the other. And that correlates to Scorpio because it's a form of entrapment. Okay. And then within that, there's power dynamics. So oftentimes you'll see within the dysfunctional family, it's led by a narcissist, right? So there's like a super self egoic structure that is really disconnected from the heart and is driven fully by ego and their narcissistic tendencies. So that usually starts at the top with the parents, and they learned it from somewhere, right? So we're talking about like ancestral lineage of patterns being passed on. And if you just take a moment to go within and meditate on this, I would believe that there's so many people waking up to this and saying, yeah, that's not who I am. There's something that has to change. It needs to happen now. And this is it, right? So then from there, you have the various roles that develop within the children. Now, I have four of them here. There are more, but I'm just going to keep it simple and base it on the four. So we have the hero child, we have the scapegoat, we have the lost child, and we have the mascot. So, what is this leading to? The realization of truth around our own conditioning and personal growth. This is usually the moment when people say, like, wow, like, what familial structure and conditioning did I grow up in? Because which one of these roles am I? And what am I even my own individual? Right. So this is also a time in society where we are witnessing people individuate, recovering their own voice. Okay. So without going word by word, I am going to break these down. So the dysfunctional family roles, like I said, there's usually one parent with a disorder of some sort, and then the other parent is the enabler. And this is, within those two roles, they are acting out their own forms of codependency that is, it's translating, it's transcending into the family system, whoever's in that household. So this is what we are witnessing. If these are your parents, you are witnessing the dynamic and the interaction between these two people, and that's what you're learning. That's how you're learning about relationships. So again, this is not always the case, but likely within a dysfunctional family, there is a hero child, and oftentimes the hero child is the oldest child. This is the child who's the achiever. They make everybody look good in the family. From the outside looking in, this is a perfect family. They have a successful child who's just always achieving and doing well. And what this does is this child takes on the role of masking whatever dysfunction is actually taking place between the two parents and with the family as a whole if there are other children. And so when this child, the hero child, falls from grace, well then actually the mask is, the mask is taken off, and the true dysfunction of the family, which is the parents and their roles that they are taking on, is revealed. Again, it is fluid. It can be very gray, but think about it. Um, this is a lot of pressure for this child to take on, because eventually when they grow into adulthood, if they do not confront this like coping mechanism that they have in order to be loved and accepted, and it's almost like a protective device, like they're protecting their parents unconsciously, because as long as this kid is doing well, then the parents have nothing to take responsibility for other than we have a wonderful child, right? So this child may grow into adulthood feeling unworthy if they don't succeed. So everything is outward, like their worth is based on their achievements, right? So what happens is this child will accumulate guilt, and guilt will become a part of their emotional dynamic, and they will start acting out and doing things in life uh, from a place of guilt, because they will begin to question if they ever really deserved all those accolades, because they were based on a false sense of self that really was just trying to protect the family unit and how they appear within society. So then we have the scapegoat. Also, the hero child, probably it can go either way when they become into adulthood, right? So we all have a choice, and the hero child can actually grow into, a very conscious person, because perhaps they realize this role that they have taken on, and they start to emotionally go within and create they become an emotionally secure person from within, meaning they don't actually have to achieve anything in order to be loved and to be accepted, because they love and accept themselves from within. So this would be like the Cancer Capricorn archetype. Cancer, in its highest expression, in its natural expression, is emotionally secure within oneself. The Capricorn energy, in its natural expression, is to be one's own authority and a natural leader, simply because they live from a place of self-respect and integrity and purpose, right? But the lower expression is I need to achieve in order to be loved, to be accepted. Cancer energy that's distorted is emotionally insecure. So Cancer is opposite to Capricorn. Capricorn is opposite to Cancer. Remember, Cancer is what's really going on privately in the home. Capricorn is how it's projected out there into the world. So the hero child is the mask for those lower expressions of those signs to actually be hidden. And there's really no emotional growth there, because eventually you cap out. And if you don't have the emotional security and love within, then anything you do in the outside world is actually going to become hollow. So then we have the scapegoat, and the scapegoat gets blamed for everything. Anything that is wrong happening in the family gets blamed on the scapegoat. This also correlates to um, Virgo and Libra energy. So oftentimes, like, the scapegoat is living in the hero's shadow, and if there's a fight between the hero child and the scapegoat, the parents don't even see that the hero child did something wrong. They just look to blame the scapegoat. And so oftentimes, like, the scapegoat will get blamed so many times in life that they'll start to believe that they are wrong. They'll start to believe that they did something wrong. They'll start to believe that they are bad. So then they start to operate from the subconscious belief due to the projections of others onto them, which is not actually who they naturally are. So they'll start to create situations in life that to where they behave badly. So this is a a person who might choose the bad friend crowd, and then in adulthood they're actually, you know, engaging in behavior that isn't safe, right? Because they've latched onto this false belief that they aren't worthy. But the scapegoat sees the truth. And so oftentimes the scapegoat can grow up to be purely resilient, and they're the truth teller. So they can actually grow up to be like a natural leader in honoring who they naturally are because they've done the inner work to recover their own nature and to declare and realize, like, hey, none of that was actually mine. It was all projected upon me, and I was blamed because somebody else didn't want to take responsibility, right? So as long as the hero child is making the family look good, the parents don't actually have to take responsibility for the dysfunction that they have created, that they have taken part in creating, and they can just blame it on the scapegoat, because, you know, we don't have any issues. It's clearly the scapegoat, or it's clearly this child that's creating the issues. And then we have what's called the mascot. This is usually the performer, right? They make a, excuse me. They are the child that makes the joke every time there's conflict, or they try and make people laugh because they don't want to confront conflict and they want to avoid conflict. So this is a role where they're constantly shutting down their emotions, and they don't learn how to self-regulate or to emotionally regulate. And when it comes to conflict and resolution, they are not really able to thrive, but also they don't even exercise or practice. They have a hard time dealing with life. That's what it is. Like, they have a hard time dealing with when things get hard, when there's adversity, and they'll utilize humor, performing, again, masking, as a way to avoid processing what's actually really going on. The last child is the one who hides, who runs from conflict. They withdraw, and they're often neglected because they avoid the conflict that's going on between, like, the hero child and the scapegoat. Or they could be responding from the parental dynamic, which is the one with the disorder, and then the one who's the enabler, modeling all kinds of codependency. So the lost child will often rebel by isolating themselves from the family and physically moving, like moving away from the family. So this is a role where they often go into isolation, and they don't develop the emotional security within and become very fearful of life. So again, these we're dealing with the Cancer archetype and the Capricorn archetype. Saturn is ruled by Capricorn. Saturn is in Aries, squaring that Jupiter. Jupiter's in Cancer. Cancer is the home. It's it's the emotional security within. It's the learning of what security is when we are children. Do we feel safe? Jupiter is about our truth, it's about our belief systems, it's about our intuition, and it's about natural law. So we are witnessing, and I'm presenting this as a way for you to reflect on your own life during this year starting in June when Jupiter is in Cancer. Are you being confronted with the familial dynamics and family system that you grew up in? And how has it shaped you as a person? How is it shaping you within society now that we are seeing the old collapse? Because it's time, it's no longer working. So, what's no longer working within your own family system, within your own belief system, within your own value system, and how does that relate to you as a member of society? And what are you now going to be influenced by, contribute to, and model for your immediate reality, for the people, for yourself, your immediate reality, and for with the society at large. So, like I said, this is shedding light on the dysfunctional family for us all. This is an opportunity for us to break free from the conditioning that is based on false truths. It's allowing us to break free from the negative core beliefs that did shape us, that were no longer in resonance with our nature, Jupiter, Sagittarius, natural law. And we are breaking the repeating family dynamic patterns. Dynamic spelled wrong. This is going to, I think it's going to be really inspiring for many people to liberate themselves and to step into who they naturally are, who they authentically are. But this is also going to like shake the feathers, right? Because when one family member tries to change, it disrupts the whole entire family system that's been in this pattern that has been falsely working, right? So there's going to be a lot of disruption within the family system and also within society as we're witnessing. So natural law, what affects one affects us all. Universal law and connection. We truly are all connected. So we all matter. We all have a purpose, and we're all here to contribute. And it starts with us. It starts with going within. It starts with us. So over this last weekend, on the same day we had this Jupiter Saturn square, we have Mars and Leo squaring Uranus and Taurus. What does this mean? Well, it means that it's time to break free so that we can creatively self-actualize, Mars and Leo. We can move forward and creatively self-actualize a new reality that is in resonance with who we naturally are within ourselves, Uranus and Taurus. Uranus breaks free, it's liberation, it's disruption, it's non-linear. It's also the earth, like the atmospheric changes that are happening on the earth. The earth is ascending, she is evolving, and we are going with her. So whatever density that we are all carrying is being just like, it almost feels like it's like vomiting out of our systems, because our frequencies are rising and we are not able to take it with us. So what we are witnessing is the density within us all and on the planet oozing out. And it's not about responding with anger either, though anger is actually a healthy expression that can be really bad when it's distorted. But Mars squaring Uranus is the No Kings protests that are taking place throughout the US. In this case, Mars represents the people, and uh, Uranus represents the disruption of the old. So what's the solution? Well, what's the new dream? This applies to all of us on an individual level, and it applies to our world at large, all of our societies, all of our structures of societies at large. The Aquarian age that we are entering, not yet, but we are on our way, is about humanity coming together in unity consciousness. But what has to happen before that? We have to actually physically witness the old way and how it's collapsing in order to recreate and define a new reality. So we are pioneering a new reality together where we haven't been before. So are we going to do that from a place of love and from our heart, or are we going to do that from separation consciousness that is actually rooted in the lower expressions of the human form, and it's overconsumed with mind and ego? It's about connecting to our heart. It's about confronting limitations with truth and respect, and then connecting to our heart in order to pioneer a new path moving forward that is in resonance with our heart space, with natural law, who we are naturally designed to be. This is Pluto in Aquarius, the power of the people. This is what we're witnessing. The opposite sign to Aquarius is Leo. So Pluto in Aquarius, being retrograde right now, is actually revealing the power structures that are led by certain individuals that are collapsing and no longer working. And this Pluto in Aquarius is allowing people more than ever to access their heart, Leo, and forge a path moving forward that is grassroots, that is community based, that is the power of the people. It's the voice of the people. So I am sending you oceans of love. I'm going to stop sharing. This is a lot of information, and I love sharing this information, and I'm learning every day, and I'm loving my own evolution and learning every day and bringing this information forth like so many others are doing at this time to help everybody ground in and navigate through this energy. So I am sending you oceans of love, and I celebrate with you this beautiful turning point and brand new reality that we are shaping together. This is an opportunity to really observe and to witness and to honor our own nature, to return to our nature, to recover our voices, and to look at your neighbor and accept them, be with them, because we're all in this together. Taking any religious context out of that, the original teachings of Jesus Christ is based on natural law, giving, sharing, inclusion, equality, love thy neighbor. So I invite you to sit with this, celebrate this, observe what's happening within your own family system over the next year. This is Jupiter in Cancer, helping us move forward so that Saturn can be the pioneer and build a new reality that is in resonance with our hearts. That's what Saturn wants for us, and Jupiter is leading the way. So have a beautiful week. I will be back with another video to talk about the weekly energy, and I invite you to check out our offerings. And if any of it resonates with you, please reach out, connect with me, come see me, and I will see you on the next one.